I want to start with a question that may make you uncomfortable, but stay with me. If tomorrow you lost your keys, your independence, and your daily choices, would you still call that safety? When I moved into a nursing home, everyone told me the same thing: it's for your own good. They promised comfort, care, and peace. What they didn't tell me were the silent costs, the ones no brochure ever mentions. Let me share the 6 hard truths I learned too late. First, you don't just move into a building, you give up control. Simple choices vanish: when to eat, when to sleep, when to go outside. Your life becomes a schedule written by someone else. Independence doesn't fade gently here, it's taken in small, polite pieces. The first thing they don't warn you about when you move into a nursing home is not the food, or the rooms, or even the rules. It's the quiet loss of control. It happens slowly, almost politely, so you don't notice it at first. At home, even on my weakest days, I still made choices, small ones, maybe, but they mattered. I decided when to wake up, when to sit by the window, when to drink tea, when to rest. Those choices reminded me that my life was still my own. In the nursing home, the clock belongs to someone else. Breakfast arrives whether you're hungry or not. Lights go off whether you're tired or not. Medications are handed to you without explanation, because there isn't time for questions. Even going outside requires permission, paperwork, and the availability of staff. You don't live by your body anymore, you live by the schedule. At first, I told myself this was for safety, and maybe some of it is, but safety can quietly turn into surrender. You stop asking for things because you don't want to be a burden. You stop resisting because resistance feels pointless. Eventually, you stop thinking about what you want at all. That's the most dangerous part. When choice disappears, dignity follows. When dignity fades, the spirit grows tired. I saw it in myself and in others, men and women who once ran businesses, raised families, survived wars, now waiting passively for the next bell, the next meal, the next instruction. Losing control doesn't happen in one dramatic moment. It happens when no one asks your opinion, when decisions are made for your own good, when your independence is treated as a problem instead of a strength. And the truth is this: the human soul does not age well without freedom. We need purpose, we need agency, we need to feel that our voice still matters, even if it trembles. If I could go back, I would fight harder to keep my choices, however small. Because growing old should mean adapting, not disappearing. And no one should have to trade their independence for care unless there is truly no other way. That is the first regret I carry. And it is heavier than any physical pain. Second, loneliness doesn't disappear in a place full of people. In fact, it can grow louder. You're surrounded by others, yet real connection is rare. Conversations are rushed, faces change, and many nights, the quiet feels heavier than being alone at home ever did. People assume that loneliness disappears the moment you enter a nursing home. After all, you're surrounded by people, hallways full of voices, dining rooms full of chairs, staff moving in and out all day. But here is a truth few are prepared to hear: loneliness can feel heavier here than it ever did living alone. When I lived by myself, the quiet belonged to me. It was peaceful, sometimes sad, but honest. I could call a friend, sit with my memories, or simply enjoy the silence without feeling forgotten. Being alone did not mean I was invisible. In the nursing home, loneliness feels different. It's sharper. You are surrounded by others, yet you feel unseen. Conversations are short and repetitive. People come and go, staff changes, residents pass away, familiar faces disappear without goodbye. Just when you begin to form a connection, it's gone. There is little time for deep conversation. Staff are kind but always rushing. They ask how you're feeling, but rarely have time to listen to the answer. Other residents are often lost in their own pain, confusion, or grief. Everyone is surviving. Few are truly connecting. What hurts most is the absence of meaningful relationships. No one here knows your stories. They don't know who you loved, what you built, what you sacrificed, or what still keeps you awake at night. Without someone to share your memories, those memories start to fade, and with them, a piece of you. Loneliness in a nursing home is not about being alone. It's about feeling forgotten while still alive. I watched strong men stare at televisions they didn't care about, just to fill the silence. I saw women dress nicely each morning, hoping someone might notice. Many stopped trying altogether. When connection feels impossible, hope quietly slips away. Human beings are not meant to age without belonging. We don't need constant company, we need meaningful presence, a familiar voice, a shared laugh, someone who sees us as more than a task or a room number. If you are considering a nursing home, understand this truth clearly. Company does not guarantee connection. Loneliness does not disappear just because people are nearby. Sometimes living alone with dignity, choice, and purpose is far less lonely than living surrounded by strangers. And that realization came to me far too late. Third, your identity slowly slips away. You stop being a parent, a teacher, a builder, a storyteller. You become a room number, a chart, a diagnosis. When no one asks who you were, you begin to forget yourself. One of the most painful surprises of living in a nursing home is not physical decline, it's the quiet erasing of who you are. Your identity doesn't disappear overnight. It fades slowly, gently, almost politely, until one day you realize it's barely recognized at all. Before I moved here, I was many things. I was a parent, a worker, a problem solver, a storyteller. I had opinions people listened to. I had memories others depended on. My life had a shape, a history, a meaning. Inside a nursing home, that history rarely matters. Here, you are introduced by your limitations, not your life. You are known by your condition, your medication list, your mobility level. Conversations begin with, "Can you walk?" Or "Did you take your pills?" Not "What did you love?" or "What are you proud of?" No one asks who you were before you arrived. Your clothes are chosen for convenience. Your routines are standardized. Your preferences are reduced to checkboxes. Over time, you stop correcting people when they get your name wrong. You stop sharing stories because no one has time to hear them. Slowly, you begin to speak less, not because you have nothing to say, but because it feels like no one is listening, and that silence changes you. When your past is ignored, your sense of self weakens. You start to doubt your relevance. You wonder if the years you lived, the sacrifices you made, the lessons you learned still matter to anyone. Some residents cling desperately to old photos or repeat the same stories, hoping anyone will remember them as more than a patient. Others give up entirely. This loss of identity is dangerous. When people stop seeing you as a whole person, you begin to see yourself that way too. Confidence fades, motivation disappears, even the will to stay engaged with life begins to slip. Aging should add depth to who we are, not strip us down to our weaknesses, but in places where efficiency comes before individuality, identity becomes inconvenient. If I could speak to my younger self, I would say this: protect your identity fiercely. Choose environments that honor your story. Surround yourself with people who know your name and your past, because the body may age, but the self should never be erased. And losing who you are hurts far more than losing strength in your hands or speed in your step. That is a regret I carry every single day. Fourth, care is often about efficiency, not dignity. Staff do their best, but they are overworked and under time pressure. There is little room for patience, gentleness, or listening. Being cared for is not the same as being cared about. Another hard truth about moving into a nursing home is that care often becomes routine rather than personal. At home, care is intimate. Someone knows your quirks, your preferences, your favorite chair, the way you like your tea. They notice the small things that make life meaningful in a nursing home. However, care is structured like a schedule, measured in tasks rather than attention. Staff here work incredibly hard, often with more residents than they can manage. They move quickly, checking boxes, giving medications, assisting with meals. It's not that they don't care, it's that there simply isn't enough time to care deeply. A gentle touch may last seconds. A conversation may be cut short. Every action is dictated by efficiency rather than by empathy. You realize, slowly, that being cared for is not the same as being cared about. Someone may help you bathe, dress, or eat, but they may not remember your name or the stories that define you. They may not ask how your day is, what you're thinking, or what worries you. Emotional needs, the subtle comforts that make life livable, often fall through the cracks, and the consequences of this routine care are profound. You feel like a task rather than a person. You begin to shrink in your own mind, believing that your presence matters less. You may even start to accept shortcuts, not because you want them, but because it seems pointless to demand more. Over time, patience wears thin, frustration builds, and even gratitude can become complicated by a sense of invisibility. I watched people rely on staff for everything, yet still feel lonely, unseen, or unimportant. Some residents clamored for attention in ways that felt desperate. Because basic human acknowledgement was scarce, it's a strange and painful paradox. You are never truly alone, yet you can feel profoundly neglected. Care in a nursing home is necessary for survival, but it rarely nurtures the soul. It is mechanical, measured, and impersonal, not out of cruelty, but out of the unavoidable pressures of the system. And in that gap between survival and dignity, regret quietly grows. If I could give one piece of advice, it would be this: wherever you choose to age, ensure that the care you receive honors not only your body, but your mind, your heart, and your story, because without that, comfort becomes emptiness, and safety feels like a cage. Fifth, your body weakens faster than you expect, movement becomes limited, motivation fades. When life offers no purpose, the body follows the mind into decline. Another harsh truth about nursing homes is that physical and mental decline can happen far faster than you expect. When you live at home, even with small limitations, your body and mind are challenged daily. You walk to the kitchen, carry your groceries, make decisions, engage with the world. Every small action keeps your muscles, your memory, and your spirit alive. In a nursing home, many of those challenges disappear. Meals are brought to you, medications are delivered on schedule. Even walking to the dining room or choosing an activity is often guided or restricted by staff. The body, deprived of routine exercise and independence, begins to weaken. Joints stiffen, muscles shrink, mobility decreases. What used to take minutes now takes effort, and what used to be easy now feels impossible. The mental decline is just as insidious. Decisions you once made effortlessly: what to wear, when to socialize, what to eat, are replaced by schedules someone else sets. Your brain, no longer stimulated by choice or responsibility, slows down, memory slips, attention drifts, and motivation fades. The more you rely on others for everything, the more your mind convinces you that you cannot do anything on your own. It's a vicious cycle. Physical weakness feeds mental decline, and mental decline accelerates physical deterioration. Even hobbies that once kept you sharp and alive, reading, cooking, gardening, fade away because they are inconvenient or require support that isn't readily available. Your world shrinks, not because of age alone, but because your environment strips you of opportunities to stay active. And the emotional impact is profound. When the body weakens and the mind slows, confidence diminishes, you start to feel fragile, dependent, and sometimes invisible. Even small challenges become mountains, and small joys begin to feel distant. If I could warn anyone considering a nursing home, it would be this: aging is inevitable. But decline is not accelerated by your body alone, it's accelerated by the environment. Choose surroundings that encourage movement, mental engagement, and continued independence. Fight to maintain your routines, your exercises, and your hobbies, even if they are small. Because the truth is simple and painful: losing control over your body and mind is not just about aging, it is about losing the chance to live fully while you still can. And the sixth truth hurts the most: regret. Regret for selling the house too soon, regret for not exploring alternatives, regret for believing fear instead of trusting my ability to adapt. The final truth, and perhaps the hardest to bear, is this: regret often comes too late. When I moved into a nursing home, I told myself I was making a safe, practical choice. My family agreed. The doctors said it was the best option, and at first I believed them. I thought I was choosing comfort and care, but the truth, the painful, lingering truth, is that I was choosing fear over freedom, and it cost me more than I ever imagined. Regret doesn't arrive all at once. It creeps in slowly, in quiet moments when you realize what you've given up. It arrives when you watch someone walk freely outside and remember the walks you no longer take. It arrives when your favorite chair sits empty, unused, because routines dictate every moment. It arrives when you want to speak, to share a memory, to make a small decision, and discover that no one is listening, or worse, that it doesn't matter. I regret moving here before I truly explored alternatives. I regret selling my house and losing the independence it represented. I regret allowing fear of accidents, of loneliness, of being a burden to dictate the terms of my life. And most of all, I regret believing that comfort and safety are worth the invisible cost of giving up my autonomy, my dignity, and my sense of self. Regret is heavy. It is more than sadness. It is the quiet knowledge that time lost can never be returned. The choices you make in old age matter more than you realize. Every decision about where to live, how to spend your days, and who to trust carries weight. And once certain freedoms are surrendered, you cannot simply reclaim them. This truth is a warning, not just a confession. If you are listening and still have choices, take them seriously. Explore alternatives that allow independence, connection, and purpose. Fight for environments that honor your story, your routines, your preferences. Don't let fear make the decision for you, because the price may be the thing you cannot measure until it is gone: your peace, your dignity, and your sense of self. Regret comes too late. And once it arrives, it does not leave quietly. It lingers in every missed opportunity, every lost choice, and every moment you wished you had done things differently. That is the truth I live with, and the lesson I hope others can avoid. I'm not saying nursing homes are evil. For some, they are necessary. But too many seniors move in out of fear, not need, and pay with their spirit. If you're listening to this and you still have a choice, think carefully, plan differently, stay engaged. Modify your home, ask for help without surrendering your life. Because growing old shouldn't mean growing invisible. And if my regret can protect your future, then at least this lesson was not learned in silence.